I don't know anything about this.
All right, hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for being here tonight. Let me make sure that I can get everybody that's in here. All right. All right, so hopefully you guys got the two different links. The reason I sent the two links is because I don't have professional Zoom, so I scheduled one for 8 o'clock and then one for 8:45. So the first part will be, basically a talk through why we play three high, exactly what we're trying to do in our three high stuff. And then the next part will be showing some clips of us early in practice, how we go through it, how I teach our kids, and then some game films of us actually doing it. So let's see. All right. Get that out. So when we get done with the first one, obviously just go back to your email. The second one or the second invite is already there. So we can go straight from the first one to the next one. Is everybody there? So admit. All right, so let me go ahead, and I'm also recording this, guys. So I'll put it up on my YouTube so that after we record this, I'll put it up on my YouTube, and then I'll have a link where I can get to. I can share the link with you guys so that you can have the you can have the link to it, so I can get it out to everybody that I need to get it out to. Just send me a message if you can't, for whatever reason, if you can't hear me or you can't, if there's an issue with you hearing me, or just send me a message, or send me, let me see what's in this chat right here. Good evening, Austin. So send me a message either in the chat if you can't hear it, or if you can't get in, and hopefully I'll go back and forth between these two things. So let's just go ahead and get started. All right. Why we play tight three high. All right. Most of you guys, if you're here from YouTube stuff, you've seen all the different videos we do. You've watched some of the whiteboard stuff. So what we're going to do now is I'm actually going to tell you, go through why we play it, why we're trying to do it, what we're trying to do with it. And then take you through a couple. I'll show you how we line up to some things. And then again, since you guys already, now that you have my email, you got my Twitter, you have everything you need. If there's any questions beyond tonight that you have, you can go ahead and send me those questions, and I'll get to them from there. Obviously, in an hour and a half clinic, I can't draw up every single formation, how we would line up. Obviously, there's some things that are game plan deals with how we might line up to certain things. So I'm going to give you the basics, the generics of what we do, show you some stuff on film, the good, the bad, the ugly. And then from there, you guys can kind of take it from there and go with whatever you want to ask questions. However you want to ask questions, you can send them to me on email. You can send them to me on Twitter. The big thing for me is I didn't want to start this like most other clinics. I don't want to give you, most of you guys, if you watch stuff on YouTube, you know who I am, you know what I do, you know where I've been doing this for 25 years now. I've been a head coach for 23 years, and assistant coach for 2 years, my first year and this very last year as a defense coordinator. One of the things that drives me nuts when I go to clinics is when guys give you 30 minutes of their history, their resume, who they know, how they got there, what they did. This is not about that. This is about this is about football. So let's get to it right now. All right. Obviously, the tight three high stuff fits our personnel. And I would say that it probably, at least odd front, probably fits 80% of the high schools that are out there. You know, just a not a survey or a study I've done, but just a stat that I would throw out there. I would think 80% of the places that are in the country could probably play odd front defense, and they'd probably be better playing odd front defense. So, you know, again, fits our personnel, fits the kids we have at our school. The scheme matches up with our opponents. All right. So there are some clips that I have for you on the huddle stuff that I've got pulled up. There are some clips there where guys are trying to run 3-man surface stuff. They're trying to run double tight stuff. The bottom line is the majority of our schedule for what we see, the scheme matches who we have to play. We get more speed on the field. We try to limit explosive plays, right? So we're playing with 3-3-5 personnel. So you were playing broken stack defense, kind of like Iowa State started a couple years ago. And it's basically it's 3-3-5. It's broken stack. So we have more speed on the field, and we try to limit explosive plays. And we did a great job with that this past season. I feel like we get more depth in the defense. Depth in the defense is something that the term was kind of, I got it from Kirby Smart Clinic when they visited after Ohio State beat them at Alabama in the playoffs. And then Tom Herman got the Houston job. They went and visited Houston to talk to him. And then they got a chance to talk to Todd Orlando, and he told them about their odd front stuff. And he said it gives you more depth in the defense. And Kirby kind of asked him, what does that mean? And, you know, the bottom line is for us, it gives us second, third, fourth level players, right? So the middle safety probably is now counted as a third level player. So our second level players are our linebackers. Our third level players now becomes a middle safety. And then the fourth level becomes the high safety. So, you know, in speaking about most of the time, guys, RPO second level guys, we RPO third level guys. Well, we've now got four levels of players. So linebackers are second level. The middle safety becomes the third level, and then the high safeties become the fourth level players. So gives us more depth in the defense. We can obviously we can bring guys from different places. You got to kind of configure, or I'm sorry, at least consider where our fourth rushers are coming from. You've got to figure out who we might bring, where we might bring them from. So it's a little bit different than even front, over front, and what you're used to looking at. So for us, we feel like there's more depth in the defense. We can play our quarters toolbox. That is number one for me. Anytime I'm going to make any change in my defense, the first thing I look at is, can I play my coverage components? I am not a fan of making wholesale changes just to make changes. If I'm going to make changes, I'm going to make it to where we can do the things that we need to do within our base system. So going back the last 15 years, I've been a 4-2-5 team with the same coverage. I've been a 3-3 stack team with the same coverage. And we are now a broken stack 3-high team, and we play the same base coverages behind it. So, the fact that we can play our quarters toolbox for me is one of the biggest reasons that we do what we do, because I wouldn't make a change if I had to go and play Ripley's match, or if I had to play something different. I would not make a change because I want to play our quarters toolbox stuff. All right, we deny vertical entry runs, so we have no bubbles. We have 2 4-eyes. One of the big things I would tell you is, if you want to play tight front defense, do not check out just because the other team gives you 3-man surfaces. Do not check out based on formations that they give you. There are other things in your defense that you can do if you are having issues with 3-man surfaces. If you are having issues with certain formations, there are certainly things that you can do in your defense to try and alleviate some of those concerns. If you want to be tight and you want to be, 3-high, or at least tight front, you can do it from 3-4 structures as well. If a team goes 3-man surface and it gets you out of tight front, then you really don't need to be a tight front team, because once you go back to shading to a tight end, once you go back to altering your front because the other team is playing with a 3-man surface, or the other team is presenting a certain formation, the offense is now dictating to you what your front is. They're dictating to you when you get out of your front. If you like playing 3-high or tight defense, if you like playing tight front because it denies vertical entry into runs with no B gap bubbles. Stay in the tight front as long as you can and don't get out because of something that the offense presents. So again, that's just that's really a philosophy, a pet peeve, a thing of mine. You know, I realize that if we're getting 3-man services, we could shade the front. If I shade the front, we just become an under team. If we want to play under defense, then we'll just play under defense. Why play tight front defense just to shade the front every time we get a 3-man surface or a certain formation? So again, that's me. That's philosophy. That's what I believe in. If we want to play tight front, we're playing tight front. I'll make my adjustment with secondary players or linebackers. I'm not adjusting the tight front if I want to be in tight front. All right. I think it defines the runs that we will see. I think it makes it a lot easier as a defensive coordinator to defend the things that you are going to see. I think we get a pretty good idea each week of what we're going to see. So in practice, we can work on fitting the runs that we are going to see. You know, I think when you talk to offensive guys about attacking tight front, they always have theories that they like. They always have things that they draw up or things that they say, all right, well, how would you defend this? How would you defend that? Well, most of the time they do that stuff. It's different than what they do every day in their even front. It's completely different than the rules that they carry in their normal zone schemes or their normal gap schemes. So to me, offensive guys are always drawing up ways to beat tight front, and they like to bring you all these ideas of how they're going to beat tight front. And for me, that just kind of defines the runs we're going to see. We know where the ball is going to go. We know the runs that we're going to see because of the rules or the scheme issues, which is the next point. All right. It creates offensive scheme issues. So your normal gap schemes change a little bit. All right. How teams want to block their normal gap schemes with the backside 4-eye is going to change a little bit. What they try to do and who they pull or who they pin pull with leverage changes a little bit. So once you get comfortable playing tight front stuff, I think one of the things that's going to help you tremendously is the fact that you're going to know the runs that you're going to see. And once you know the runs that you're going to see, I think your practice plans become a little bit more efficient, because even though we're game planning for an opponent, we kind of know every week certain runs that we're going to see. We know we're going to see pin pull. We know we're going to see tackle pull schemes. All right. We know that we're going to see the ball working its way to the C gap. So for me, it kind of makes it a lot easier for us to practice because I can pinpoint the exact runs that I'm going to see. Now, when you game plan against somebody, obviously you take their film. What do they run? How do they do it? And you work your scout cards off of that. And I'm not saying that we do anything different, but what I'm saying is we get really comfortable in the fact that we know how people are going to go after the tight front stuff. And again, the more you talk to offensive coordinators, offensive coaches, they love sending you drawings of how you would defend something in tight front that they're going to run. But then when you watch them play, they don't run that play. It's just something that they drew up to beat tight front. So I feel like we know what we're going to see. We know the runs we're going to see. We know where we want the ball to be sent. We know what we have to defend, where the ball is going to be, and you have to be comfortable with that, right? You're going to have short edges. The ball is going to fall off the pool table pretty quick. You've got to be comfortable knowing that you have to be able to support those things that you need to support because of where the ball is going to be. All right. I think it takes time to prepare for. I think offenses have to come up with a little bit different game plan than they normally do. I think it takes extra time for offenses to prepare for exactly what you're trying to do with your tight front. I think 3-high takes time to prepare for. I think guys have to get used to how they're going to block the middle safety. Is he in the run fit? I think they have to take time away from their normal odd, whether it's their odd, practice plans or their even practice plans. I think it adds time to the opponent having to prepare for you, which to me limits the time that they have to work on their techniques, fundamentals, and all the things that they need to do to execute their offense. So one of the things that I noticed this year with us, especially by like week 5, week 6, once we were in it and film got out, we saw a bunch of offenses that ran things the week they played versus us that they hadn't ran all year, right? So, the pain in the ass about that is you're defending things that you haven't seen. But the great thing about that is they had 3 days to put something in that they feel like they need to run in a game plan. So they're no longer running their normal base things. They're running 80% of their game plan is things that you've never seen. And to me, all right, maybe they practice those things. Maybe it's part of what they do. I don't know. But at the end of the day, I'm now defending things that they have worked on for possibly 3 days in a game plan. So just by playing tight three high, we have made them completely change how they want to play football and all the things that they want to do in their game plan. Sorry, guys, that was my cat that needs to get out. So I think it takes time to prepare for. We try to create confusion for the offensive coordinator and the quarterback, middle of the field open, middle of the field closed. So in today's game, we really need to confuse the offensive coordinator, right? In the old days, we used to talk about confusing the quarterback, and we used to talk about spinning coverages and showing two high shells and rotating from there. Well, in today's game, with the way it's called and with a lot of no huddle teams that are out there, the game's being called by the offensive coordinator from the sideline or from the box. That's the guy that we need to confuse. Now, yes, we still need to confuse the quarterback, but at the same time, I want to confuse the offensive coordinator. So when you play three high, they need to figure out whether you're middle of the field open or middle of the field closed, because that middle safety is in a position to play the deep middle part of the field. And it almost looks like, depending on the depth you play the middle safety at, it almost looks like it is middle of the field closed defense. Now, if you've watched any of the stuff that we've done on YouTube and when you go through this clinic today, you will find out that we play it as split field coverage, right? We play it as a quarters toolbox. So within our base structure, it's middle of the field open. And our middle safety is basically a Mike linebacker. That's how he plays in coverage in our base structures. We do play three deep. We do close the middle of the field. So the beauty of that is it all looks kind of similar at the snap of the ball as far as the middle safety is concerned. I think our leverage with our safeties changes at times when we're changing coverage. I think our leverage with our corners changes at times. But as far as where the middle safety is, most of those coverages will look like your basic middle of the field closed coverages, with the middle safety in a position where he can play middle of the field. So we want to create confusion for the offensive coordinator. We want to create confusion of the quarterback. Is it middle of the field open? Is it middle of the field closed? All right. I think it helps us defend RPOs tremendously because there's no B gap bubbles. Most of your spread teams that are RPO teams are going to attack the open B gap bubble. They're going to try and find a guy that needs to fold the bubble while still having a coverage responsibility. That's the conflict player. That's where they want to attack. Well, we don't give you any open B gap bubbles. We take B gap bubbles away with 4 eyes. We take isolation theories away with 4 eyes. You're going to have to do something different in the run game to attack what we do because we don't give those bubbles. So when we play teams that are 2 removed, 2 by 2, 2 removed, 3 by 1, we constantly have players in position to defend what I think are the simple RPO throws. We still get all the standard RPOs. We still get single side RPOs. We still get glance and pipe and all those, all those deals that everybody else gets. But I feel like it's easier for us to defend RPOs when I can tell the overhangs that they don't have to fold as quickly because there's no interior gap to fold to, right? So it's a light box theory. If you look at it in the social media world or in the football world, what everybody's going to call the light box theory, we're playing less people in the box, which is kind of a misnomer because on any given run, we're going to have 7 or 8 ready to fit the run. Just like when we used to play our 4-2-5 stuff. Yes, it's a 4-1 box, but if you think it's a 4-1 box that you're attacking, you're strongly mistaken because there's a 6th and a 7th defender attached to the run fit that are going to be involved as quickly as possible. So it's not really a 4-1 box. It's just a 4-1 box in theory. So for us, it's a 3-1 box or a 3-2 box. That's what we play. That's what we play to tight end sets. That's what we play to one back sets. That's what we play to 11 or 20 personnel. So it's basically a 3-1 box or a 3-2 box. And I'm going to go through some diagrams here in a second. So it's a light box theory, right? We're daring you to run the ball, and then we're trying to tell you where the ball is going to be run. And then we are trying to support where the ball is going to be run, and we're trying to get second, third, fourth level players. If you're going to play this defense, you've got to be comfortable supporting runs from the back end. You've got to be comfortable with linebacker level, middle safety level, and safety level. You've got to be comfortable with those guys supporting runs, because the ball is going to get to the edge. The ball is going to fall off the table a little bit, more than you're used to, quicker than you're used to. If you're a defensive coordinator, you're going to have to sell your head coach on that, because everybody wants to defend the edge. Everybody wants to, make sure the ball doesn't get to the edge. Well, we're actually trying to send the ball to the edge. So one of the things that it did for us was, as a 4-2-5 team or even a 3-3 stack team, you got to spend a lot of time trying to spill gap schemes. You got to spend a lot of time trying to get defensive ends to teach defensive ends how to take the air out of down blocks, and how to spill pullers, and how to get the ball sent sideways so that you can get it sent to your free hitters. And you're trying to get the ball to go east and west instead of north and south. Well, when we play our tight front, we're basically telling you that the ball has to go east and west. We're basically telling you that we're doing everything in our power to deny the ball from going north and south without having to spill, or at least spend a ton of time with our defensive ends spilling, in theory, from a 5 technique, because when we play with a 4-eye, the ball is pretty much spilled by alignment. So we've got the ball spilled, and we've got runs that are going to work their way out to the C gap, and they're basically going to do that just because of the alignment that we play. So it doesn't take a great 4-eye. It doesn't take a war daddy at 4-eye. It doesn't take a ton of teaching to get the ball to go east and west. The scheme that you present and the pictures that you present are going to make the ball go east and west, if that makes sense. So that's why we play it. That's why we like it. And that is based on, again, being a 4-2-5 team, a 3-3 stack team. Originally, back in the day, I was a 3-4 field defense under front reduction team. So I've done a bunch of different things in 24, 25 years. I played a bunch of different defenses, and this one for us, I think, is the simplest form of defense that we've ever played. And I know a lot of people look at the middle safety and where he's going, and they think it's kind of complicated, but in theory, it's the simplest form of defense from a practice structure that we've played, because we've eliminated a lot of techniques that we have to teach our guys. All right. So, so this past year we were 8-3. We were district champions. One of the games that we won, we beat one of the local powerhouses here in a game that the school hasn't won in 45 years. So it goes all the way back to 1977 was the last time that they had beat the school that we beat for the district championship. So obviously, and we won that game 14-13. So, obviously a huge win for us. So, I'm a big believer in what you do has to have results for people to buy in. So 8-3 district champions. We gave up 15 points a game. We gave up 296 yards per game. We had 4 shutouts on defense. We scored 4 defensive touchdowns, and we created 25 turnovers. And then when I get the film, I'll show you all of that being done with 2-way players, all of that being done with 4-eyes that are under 200 pounds. Our Sam linebacker is going to Davidson. The rest of the kids on defense, there are no Division I guys from last year's team, the film that I show you. So we are getting it done with high school players that I think most of you have. We are getting it done with tough kids, smart kids, physical kids that love playing football and love playing game plans. But it's not something that you need to have absolute freaks to play. And I know a lot of people are going to look at the nose, and he needs to be a certain body type, and the 4-eyes need to be a certain body type. We did it with average high school football players that were physical, tough. Our 4-eyes were quick off the ball, high motor guys, but they were not big. They were both under 200 pounds. So, and again, if you guys have any questions, if you just want to put it in the chat, I can get to it from there. We can do it that way. Or if you want to wait till afterwards and you can send me emails, you could send me Twitter messages, however you want to do it. But we did it with basic. The personnel we did it with is the personnel that I think you guys have, is what I'm saying to you. So when we start off, if it's 2x2 detached, this is what we look like. Okay, so and again, you guys can take pictures of this, whatever you want to do, however you want to do it. You know, if you want me to send you, I'll send you whatever I can send you that I am smart enough to figure out how to send you. But if you want to take pictures while it's up there, go ahead and take pictures. I'm cool with that. So this is our tight front 2x2. It's a 3-1 box. We're going to play palms or 2 read to both sides. And that's how we start day one. So if you follow the YouTube channel, you follow what we do, you know, we're a quarters toolbox team. You know that's how we base, you know that we're a middle of the field open team. So we are going to play tight front. We are going to play 4-eye, nose. Mike is going to be stacked in 2x2. All right. And basically what we are doing with our 4-eyes read guards. And I know that might be different for some people. The reason we do that is I think there's a ton of arc scheme stuff out there where guys are trying to arc release the 4-eye and get them to widen, whether they're trying to trap them, read them, whatever they're trying to do. We read guards because I think it's the easiest thing to do. We read guards because I think it's simplistic in nature. So we are basically visual key on the guard, pressure key on the tackle with our 4-eyes. And we kind of keep it as simple as we possibly can. If the guard comes to me, I'm trying to penetrate. If the guard goes away, I'm trying to squeeze as hard as I can. If I get a pass set, I can win wherever I want to win. And I know guys get freaked out about pass rush in a tight front. I don't think pass rush in high school is a big deal. If you're going to ask me personally, again, philosophically, you don't have to agree. Nobody has to agree. It's my opinion. Most of the throws you see in high school are out of the quarterback's hands rather quickly. Most of the throws you see in high school are intermediate, quick game throws. There's only certain down and distances where quarterbacks stay in the pocket to throw the ball. So I really don't concern myself with pass rush. Do we have deals where we try to generate pass rush? Yeah. I mean, yes, we do. Obviously, I've got to build things into my system to generate pass rush. Do we play 4 down? Yes, we do. Do we send 5? Yes, we do. Do we send 6? Yes, we do. When we are playing base tight front that we play probably 75% of the time every week that we go into games, I'm not worried about pass rush. It's not something that's high on my priority list. The reason we can tell our 4-eyes that they can win wherever they want to win is my Mike linebacker is not part of any of my coverages. So my Mike linebacker is the 4th rusher. My Mike linebacker is the secondary contained player. So I never have to tell my 4-eyes to ricochet outside. I never have to tell them to be cop players or whatever the fancy term is to contain versus pass. My 4-eyes can win wherever they want. And if we get flushed, the Mike linebacker has to pull the quarterback up. Okay, so in our base generic structure, the Mike linebacker is not part of the coverage. The middle safety is the guy that replaces the Mike in coverage, right? So for us in 2x2, if we're 2 read on this side, all right, we're 2 read on this side, palms, however you want to call it. The middle safety is the 3 vertical player. If 3 pushes, the middle safety has to now relate to the push. The Sam relates to the push, and now the middle safety plays the new number 3 coming inside. All right, so if you are a quarters team, if you are a palms 2 read team, that's the same shit you do with your Mike linebacker. You do it every day in 7-on-7. You do it every day in coverage. We're just doing it with the middle safety from 8 yards. So it's not a nuance in coverage. It's not a wrinkle in coverage. It's the same coverage you've always played if you are a middle of the field open, quarters based, palms or 2 read team. That's the reason we play it. All right. And again, guys, when this ends, the next one will start. So you can click on that other link. So please don't panic. I think eventually I'm going to get Zoom Pro, but I'm not very good with technology and I'm a little bit behind the curve with all that shit. So the only way I could do this was to set up 2 different meetings. So for us in 2x2, we are palms to both sides. We're a 3-1 box right now. The reason this says palms lock money hard is away from the Sam linebacker. We have to have answers in case we get empty, in case we get some deals where we can't walk the will out. So on the back side of this, we could lock it and play man if we wanted to. We could, we could play a money adjustment where the corner and the safety play man and the will plays palms. We could play a cover 2 adjustment into the boundary if we wanted to, and that's the beauty of split field coverage. And you can treat formations how you want to treat them based on down and distance, where the ball is, who your personnel you're playing is. So we are never the same on both sides. No, sorry. We can be the same on both sides, but we don't set up to be the same on both sides. We can play each side of the coverage independently from the other side. Make sure nobody else is trying to join. All right, so if we saw two back, all right, we're going to be palms to the front side, and the back side is going to play a single side menu. They're going to play all the things that we want to play to the single side. So they're going to play, we can play sky with the safety down. We can play cloud with the corner down. We can play hard cover 2 where the corner's down, but we're jam funneling number 1. We could play a hawk concept, which is kind of like a quarters concept, where we'll allow the corner to play man on 1, the will plays man on 2, and our safety is an extra player. We can play cone, where we bracket the release of number 1 out there. So if number 1 is inside, the safety takes him. If number 1 is outside, the corner puts him in the bleachers, and the safety is an extra player. So, and again, the confusing part for most people, and I get this all the time when I do, I think that the thing that people don't understand sometimes is I've now done 490 videos on YouTube about the game of football. Excuse my language, but how the fuck can you come up with 490 videos about the game of football without talking about a bunch of different things? So the things that I talk about online on YouTube, that doesn't mean I go into every game playing those things. So I'll get comments from guys that'll say, well, coach, the companies play fast football and you got 9 different things. How do your kids play all that? Well, just because I got it on the board on a YouTube video doesn't mean we play it. I've gone into game plans where we only play sky to the backside because that was the only thing my kids could handle, right? So I think sometimes you got to separate when you're out there getting information from different people. I think you've got to separate what is theory and what is application. So, for us, this is our single side menu. These are all the things we could get to. We never get to all 5 in a game. I never carry. Now, this year coming back this year with a returning team, I feel like we can carry all of them. I don't know if I'll get to all 5 in a single game, but most of the time we're playing 1 or 2 variants to the backside. That's what we're doing. That's how we're playing it. So, when it says here the away side can play sky, cloud, hard, hawk, cone, we don't play all of those in every game. We usually play 1 or 2 that we like based on who the X is, right? So, and when we get to this on film, I'll show you how we support runs. But basically to the 2 receiver side, Sam's going to be your force player. If they block the Sam, safety's got to come off the roof. Middle safety's running the alley between the Mike and the Sam. If we get pullers, the Mike's going to try and spill. Will's going to be able to run. He's a stack track fallback guy, but I'll show you on film how most of the gap scheme teams that we see, you get all solo blocks. You get a down on the 4, down on the nose, down, center back on the other 4-eye. There's really no window for the Will to run through. Our Will is our best defensive player. He's coming back next year. He just, in our weightlifting meet on Wednesday, he just clean and jerked 305 pounds. He runs 4.6. He's got the second best broad jump and vertical on our team. He is a guy that would love to run through backside windows versus gap schemes. There's really no windows for him to run through a lot of the time in the tight front when he's on the backside, because when they block the 4-eye down and they block the nose down, there's really nowhere for the ball to go. And that's the other beauty of the front. Based on how gap teams block it, there's nowhere for the ball to go. So the Will can run over the top, and then depending on your structure on the backside, somebody's going to be the vice cutback player, right? So all the things that you would think about in your everyday defense, we're doing all those same things. We're just doing it with a middle safety from 8 yards. All right. So, and again, guys, anything that's a question, anything, you have my email, you have my Twitter account. Now that we've done this, you can ask me questions separately, privately. You can ask a question in here. I keep trying to go back and make sure nothing's in the chat. So any questions you have, you could ask me at any time. If we see 3x1, our standard adjustment is what we call mix. Some people call it stubby. We're going to X out number 1. All right. My left safety and my high safety, or the right safety, whoever the safety to the trip side is, and my middle safety are going to play palms on 2 and 3. our Sam stays an apex player. He plays the same rules that he plays in Palm, so I don't have to do anything different with him. We stay in the same 3-2 box versus 3-by-1. So I don't have to do anything with my linebackers. We play the same coverage to the single. So every menu, all the things that I've got built into the single stay the same. And this is 100% the God's honest truth. We played 0 snaps last year where the backside safety was borrowed to the trip side. 0, not 1. And that's kind of the beauty of and if I was a split field coverage team, if I was a 2-high team, I would probably do a lot of the same things. But with the middle safety there, we have a lot of different choices of how we can play 3-by-1. And if you're going to play tight 3-high, get used to defending 3-by-1, because this is the first thing teams do, because it gives them a box and a run fit structure that they're used to, because the middle safety for us in our base 3-by-1 deals, he's kind of now out of the run fit. So if you're going to play 3-high, get used to seeing 3-by-1, because that's what people are going to do. Unless the trip side needs the backside safety, we are playing our menu to the backside. And again, last year, guys, first year at a new school playing it, we never used the backside safety to the trip side, not 1 snap. All right. So we never had to worry about what we were doing to the single. We played all the same single side menus. So it makes it easier for the kids. It's more repetitive. If we saw pro, we would stay tight. All right. The note that you have here says we may need to boss our linebackers. All right. If 3 is strong. So if it's pro and number 3 is strong, so the sniffer is strong, we may need to boss our linebackers. But we do not change the front. I am adamant about tight front, not changing the front. If they come out in 3-man surfaces and we change the front, they've already won that battle, in my opinion. If a team can get you out of tight front just by being a 3-man surface or a formation, then I think that the offense has already won the battle. They're dictating to you what you need to play and how you need to play it. So I am not a believer in changing the front. I will boss the backers. I will rotate the secondary if I need to. But day one, base football, camp rules, we are not changing the front. So here we're going to play quarters. The note read is how I call quarters. We call 2 read palms and we call quarters read, just because on the field I need a call that the kids can make. And I don't want to say that, the word quarters. So we make a read call to play quarters. We make a palms call to play palms. So please don't get confused with that. Sam's the force player. Sam's the curl flat player. We will usually, almost all the time, we will play make rules, man, everywhere the Z goes. We don't play mod rules in quarters, simply because I think that's tougher to teach in high school. So we are quarters here. We are single side menu there. And then here's a look at twins. All right, nub tight end, 2 receivers where palms, base rules to the 2 receiver side. Middle safety will align based off of where 3 is. All right, so sometimes we play them off the sniffer if the sniffer is a dead tell for where the ball's going. Sometimes we'll play him off the true number 3 because he's got 3 vertical in coverage. To the backside of a nub, we play what we call auto sky, which means the safety's down as your D-gap force player. The corner is now going to play a flat-footed robber technique. He's the deep half player, but he's the deep half player to a nub. If I'm playing deep half to a nub tight end, the nub tight end has to do something to go vertical, and I will know that right away. If the nub tight end puts his hands on somebody in the run game, there's nobody to that half that can beat me vertical, so why am I going to be a half player? So it's a sky concept. It's a half field concept or a deep half concept, but there's no need to defend the deep half if the offense doesn't have anybody that can attack the deep half. So, guys, we're less than a minute in this one. The other link that I sent you will take you to the second one. The second one's going to start about 4 minutes from now. And in the second